When building web applications, one way to collect and process data from users is through web forms. This can be through a simple contact form or a registration form that allows the user to key in some information, and then we in turn, using PHP, grab this information and process it in the way that we choose to. In PHP, we use superglobal variables, get and post, to actually collect this kind of data. In this lecture, you'll be learning how to capture form data using HTTP post and get methods. So we're going to create a simple contact form here. Just going to speed in some HTML, call this contact, and then right here we're going to open the form element. And as you know, for the form element, we need to give it an action. The action will be where we want to actually process the information that is sent from the form. So if we leave empty string here, it means we are going to process it within the same page. And then we specify a method. So you can actually choose one of the two methods here at the most basic level. For the first example, we're going to be taking post. And then inside of here, I'm just going to create a table. And then create a table role, read our table data. All right, so let me bring this back here and then say name. And then going to create another one here, TD. This is going to contain the form element, input type. Say this should be test. And then we're going to give it a name, should be username. Okay, so I'm just going to duplicate this. And then this will be message. And then this will be test area. Okay, so we don't need a type for test area. We only need a name, and the name should be message. Okay, the last one should be for the button. So input type should be submit. Then the value should be the text that we want to show on the button. All right, so just a basic form. Let's view it on the browser. Okay, so we have a basic form here. We click on this form right now. You see that nothing happens. Even if I type in something here, nothing happens when we click on the form. Okay, so let's go back to our text editor. So we have a basic form here. I have an action. The action is set to process the form in this same PHP page, which is going to be our index.php. And then we set the method for sending the form data to be post. So right now, inside of index.php, we can grab all the data that is passed through the form and just var dump it. So we're going to say var dump post. Right, so when we do a var dump on the post superglobal PHP variable, it is actually going to display the values that we have in the form. So like here, we have the name control for this is username, and then the name control for this is message. These are going to act as keys inside of the post superglobal variables, and then the value that the user enter into the form will now be the value that will be assigned to these keys. So let's illustrate that on the page. So we're going to type in here Terry, and then I'm going to say my message. Let's hit on submit. Right now you see there's an array at the top here with just two elements, because we actually have two elements in the form. One is the test feed, and then the other one is the test area. And then for the test feed, the name control that we use is username, so that becomes a key inside of the array. And then the value that was entered is Terry T. And then for the test area, the name control is message, and the value that was entered is my message. So when a user fills the form like this and hits the submit button, the data is going to be sent as an array of key value pairs. And as I've explained, the keys will be the name control for the form, while the value will be the value that was actually entered by the user. So inside of our script, we can there refer to individual elements inside of the post superglobal. So let's say I'm going to create a variable here called name. This can now be equal to the post of username. Okay, so we can create another one called this message. This can now be equal to the post of message. So moving on from here, you can do whatever you want to do with this message. Let's assume you want to store this in a database. You can just go ahead and whip up an instance of your database connection and then store this message. If you want to send an email, you can also do that here. These are things that we have already covered here on Dev Screencast. So what I'm going to do now is just return back the name and the message. All right, so what we're going to do now is go over to our view, and then right here, maybe at the top here, we're just going to create a small container, and then we are going to say your name is, and then we want to echo the name variable. So to prevent any error, we might want to say if it's set name, then only we just echo it so that we don't get any error message. Okay, so we do the same thing for message. Your message is, this should be MSG. If it's set MSG, we want to echo MSG. So this way we don't get an error message if the variable is not set. All right, so let's view this on the browser. Going to enter new variable here, Terry. I am sending a message. And then hit the submit button. Now we have your name is Terry, your message is I am sending a message. And of course we can do this because we are setting the method to post. But if the method was set to get, then we can no longer do it the way we have done it. So if we set this method now to get, and then just do a refresh on the browser. Say we want to post something again. Post something and then hit enter. All right, so now you see undefined index username, undefined index message. This is because inside of our script, come back here, you see that we are referring to post. But right now, inside of our form, we are using the HTTP get method. So it is not able to actually see any username set in the PHP post superglobal variable. So what we now need to do is just change this to get. So we're going to say underscore get and do the same thing for the message. All right, so let's do a refresh on the browser. Then enter a new text, call this guy John, and then I am sending with get. Then click on submit form. See your name is John, your message is I am sending with get. All right, so but one thing that you must take note of when you are using get, the information that is sent by the get method is publicly visible in the browser. So if you look at the URL right now, you can see username is equal to John, and then message is equal to I am sending with get. So this is one of the disadvantages of posting data using the HTTP method get. You should always use post when you are actually sending data through a form, especially when you are sending sensitive data like user password or credit card information. You should actually use post. When you use the post method, the data will be sent behind the scene, which is much better. And again, another disadvantage of using get is that the maximum number of characters that you can actually send is 2000. So best practice is always to stick with using post for form processing.